Folks, welcome inside the Parisi Palace, high above 3773 East Broadway. This is a live edition of the Jake Feinberg Show, comedy on Power Talk. Thank you so much for making us part of your day today, wherever you are in this galaxy. And when I sort of lean back and think back on my heroes in music, a lot of them. A couple of them are Jerry Garcia and John Kahn. And, it's really hard to find cats that are, able to, and they're not intentionally doing it, but their authenticity comes through them in the sense that they remind me of what those cats would have been like if I had a chance to actually spend any time with them. And my next guest is somebody I've had on the program before. He doesn't. I mean, his actions speak louder than words. He doesn't really like to talk the talk. He'd prefer to walk the walk. But when you do get him into a situation, when you get him excited about certain things, his hobbies, his passions, then he has a tendency to really go off. And I am looking here. What an honor it is. He has a debut solo recording, an EP that came out during this extended pause, and looking forward to promoting that and all things this person. Dan Horne, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo, man, how are you doing, baby?
Pretty good. Doing all right.
Are you like? Can you just talk? Like I saw this post you put up about Pipe Sibelius. Like you've been working a lot of. I mean, would you say that you've basically like looked at the situation and said, well, now that I can't road dog right now, I can basically do all these things, projects, house projects, whatever that I couldn't get around to when I was on the road?
It's a bit of a catch up. I'm catching up on all the life that I missed. The world has slowed down, and now I get to catch up. That's how I see it.
How do you?
But that's kind of a selfish way to look at it.
No. Here's the thing. I mean, it's tragic what's happening, and it's. I just wonder if part of you actually, even though music is a sacred thing for you and you enjoy it, has this actually been somewhat therapeutic, just the slowing down of life?
Yeah, well, I got to I've got to work in the studio a bunch. That thing, Pipe, is actually how you say it.
Pipe, thank you.
Pipe, yeah. He's I've been working with him for a long time, so that, and I mix stuff that he records and we collaborate. So it was my Salvador. We've been working together on his we worked on his last record, and now he has a new record coming out, so some good stuff.
Basically, like, it's kind of a hypothetical question, but I see like some bands, like I don't know, the continuation of like the Greg Allman, Dickie Betts band, like it's a big name band, and so they have like these socially distanced concerts, and I guess they can. I'm not sure how they're really doing it, but they're having these tours in the fall where they're going to have concerts in venues, indoor venues, socially distanced, and there's demand for those tickets, I guess. I mean, there's still a demand for this, continuing the lineage of the music, and I just don't disrespect that at all. But like when I think about Circles or Shred or any of these bands, I want to be up there getting McCutcheon's sweat pouring off of them and dancing in the front row, and just sort of bringing a serious tribal vibe to the whole thing. And I mean, I have to be honest, I mean, some of the restrictions are I don't like. I mean, to me, I understand for safety purposes. I just wonder, would you consider doing socially distanced concerts, or is that something that is an anathema, especially with the kind of music that you play?
Well, we've had a lot of people asking, and one of the first we were like, well, yeah, everyone's seated and it'll be spaced out. That's cool. But then what if Feinberg shows up?
That's the problem, dude. What if
Like,
Feinberg
I don't
show?
think we can restrain him.
Well, you could put a box. Remember, you talked about putting a box around me.
Oh yeah, like a penalty. We'll play at hockey stadiums, and you can be in the penalty box. How
Well,
about
I'm
that?
being dead serious, dude. If I was if I was gonna go on a road trip and see you guys in the Pacific Northwest, or, I could not. I don't necessarily need to commingle with strangers. I totally respect people's social distance, but I got to be able to dance. I got to be up front, and I got to be, walking out of there totally healed. And
Right.
that. There are other people like that too. Is that? Do you think that? No matter what, I'll suck it up. But do you think that that's the future, really? At least in the
No,
near.
I think that's one reason why I haven't particularly done anything. Is it just it seems like a lot, and to deal with. Maybe at first we're like, maybe that's not going to be that fun. I think it is fun, and I think it is something that I would like to do. I'm not going to, like, the rules are changing, so we got to adapt. But for me, it's mostly just been everybody's kind of been out doing other things.
You have. Well, no. Some people have you haven't really, done this. You've done some interviews on Zoom and stuff, but you, your philosophy about music is, I don't want to say you're a purist, but in the sense that everything's kind of you got to be in the moment, creating, and you of all people, you like that environmental feel, and you like to hear what's bouncing off of the audience, and the idea of sitting down at a circle show that just doesn't seem right. It's like that is
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably why the circles and Shred have not done anything like that. Is for that reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just hasn't.
No, I just for me, it's it's if Dan Horne I'll say this on the air publicly. They're doing a couple of gigs at Pappy and Harriet's. This Los Hermanos Cosmicos with Farmer and Rademacher and CR leading it, and it's not I'm not a CR guy, so it's just not with the restrictions, it's not enough of an incentive. But Dan Horne makes an announcement, I'm there. I'm just letting you know. Put the penalty box up.
We're working on it.
Yeah. And I also want to make. I want to just say this on the air, and you don't have to. I just want to say this for the record because I understand that going back to it just seems like a whole other lifetime ago, but you can't replacing Neely with Metzger in circles, or Krasnow and Metzger made sense. They were bigger names. They could fit into the zeitgeist of the music. I just want to give a big shout. I just want to put it in your ear that I really think Jared Madsen deserves that role. I'm just letting you know. All right.
Yeah, I talked to Jared about doing jamming. He's in the neighborhood. We're talking.
He's nasty. Yeah. You and Levy. Just for the record, you and Levy and Mac and Neely. I just continue to watch. I continue to watch all these insane circle shows, and I want to thank you really much because it's been really hard for me not to be able to heal through live music, and the best thing I can do is just go back to the old memory bank or to the YouTube clips, and
cool.
It still continues on. But would you say that how do you deal with it when you're really horny to play music? What have you been playing at like socially distant stuff, or like, or do you go and wrestle with your kids, or like
Huh.
spackle the bathroom, or what? I mean, like what? Like I just wonder how everybody's dealing. I mean, it's just like, it's not like you guys are basically your yoga is on the bandstand, and you guys could do it every day, or you do sometimes. And I always wonder how everybody's just coping with it. And obviously, there's a delineation between people that have families and kids and not. But what do you do when you're really sort of like just wanting to drop bombs?
Well, I have my studio's been going, every day. So, we've been doing sessions. So that's been good.
One of those sessions, I just got tipped off. Are you working on the new Tide album with Darren Rademacher?
Yep. He's coming over in an hour.
Dude, I cannot. So I mean, like, but I mean, when you're, like, is the whole band coming over, or is it really kind of just like, are you keeping it to a minimum amount of people? I mean, this is sort of like.
Yeah, I mean, we keep it safe, We're conscious of it.
I love it. I love it.
But once you enter, it's kind of like once you enter the bubble, you kind of agree to play to everyone kind of agrees to keep their outside life safe, and it's kind of like a little mini pod is the way we do it. So
if Jake Feinberg was coming in, I mean, the requirements would be to like mask up, or like what would I need to do in order to be allowed in
it's
the
the
studio?
same rules as the NBA. The players don't have to mask, and then the press
has to.
masked.
Dude, it's so sick. The player, that's the way it's going to be for the first Shred reunion show. It's going to be. Well, I don't know. Players don't have to mask. Audience has to mask, and no dancing, dude. I mean, they're gonna have to put me in like a Hannibal Lecter thing and like strap me up.
Yeah, you can wear a beekeeper suit. That's the one way.
Sweat.
Full
Well, I just
hazmat.
Hazmat suit. In the middle of this COVID, Dan Horne has now I just want to be clear, when it says debut solo recording, this means it's your first record that it's all you.
Yeah, and it's called my name,
And it's self-titled by you. So I just caught this on caught the trails of this. Apparently a new song off the EP is released today. It actually already is my favorite song. So let's take a listen to it, and we'll come back. Music on the Jake Feinberg Show, brought to you by Abbott Taylor Jewelers and Craig Pretzinger of Allstate Insurance. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart because I've been able to stay on the air and through their advertising through this incredible time and get to play music like that. Title of that track, I believe just released today, is called Blackjack. And take it, Dan Horne. I mean, can you talk? I mean, I've talked to recently just guys that were playing in, Blood, Sweat, and Tears back in the day, or the Blues Brothers, and a lot of times they go in the studio as a band and they would jam up the tunes together so that when they split off, and then they'd split when they actually started the recording, they maybe do the rhythm section, horns, and vocals. But the point is that it was like live ready, and they do a couple of takes before they actually hit the record button. But I mean, like for instance, when that acoustic guitar comes in, just talk about your in this particular song. The process of putting it all together. Yeah, the Cuica.
Oh wait, sorry, I was jamming along.
Dude, the Cuica is I mean, that's my favorite tune by far.
Ayerto.
Dude, you need to break that out as much as possible at any live shows, dude. I love it because you can really get some amazing sounds on that thing.
But yeah, I basically start with Cuica and then just start layering on top. But no, not really. Yeah, it's kind of like come up with an idea and lay it down, usually on like an acoustic guitar, and then start playing along with it. That's kind of what I do.
But I mean, like, as far as like you put the when does the rhythm come? I mean, you find yourself putting down the rhythm tracks first, or when does the drums come? Like, just talk about the
Yeah.
Because I mean that sounds. I mean, it sounds like an ensemble, but you're playing everything. So I mean, like
yeah. I mean, I pretty much start with I start with an acoustic guitar. That's kind of like my percussion instrument. And then bass, I kind of like to do pretty soon because that's kind of like my bread and butter. And then I'll play drums to that. And I'll, spend a lot of time on the drums, trying to get that. Because I'm not really a drummer, so I got to kind of fake it. And then it takes me a long time to get a good take and kind of piece together a few different takes is usually what I do.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you it's not like one cut of the drums and you're like, I nailed it. You just maybe piece together. Because like,
I wish.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not a first call drummer, but I mean, you can play the drums. Who are your? And also, I heard an electric guitar in there. Did I hear that correctly? You were soloing on lead electric?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who are your influences, like, for lead guitar? I mean, do you have influences, or are they horn players, and also on drums? I mean, who are some of the people you, there's a raw aesthetic sound to the driving sort of tempo of these tunes, but do you have influence? I mean, who are your influences on guitar and drums?
Well, guitar, like everyone, you kind of is something you pick up when you're really young, like, so I've been playing guitar, since I was, a little kid. But then I just always switched. I just always played bass because there was guitar players, So, I mean, guitar is what you play when you're sitting on the couch or learning a song or whatever. So, it's always been there, but like, I kind of play it in a bass, like one string at a time type of a thing.
I love it, man. It's cool. Has like
But yeah,
a British invasion kind of feel. But I mean, like like what like Skifflin Horn. The everything we got a kind of a modified trap set, an acoustic guitar. At least the picture on SoundCloud is overlooking, I guess, the Pacific Ocean. Um,
yeah.
is it fair to say that uh, you didn't record anything like by the water though? It was all done at Lone Palm.
Yeah, no, that was just uh that's like Topanga Beach. We've been going out there a lot with the kids because it's kind of one of the only things you can do these days,
I know
you know.
that beach. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
that's open to the public.
Yeah, yeah, the beaches here. There's been a few weekends where they close them wisely because they get too crowded.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beach is open, so that's we've been going a lot this summer, and I don't know, just hanging out, took a picture. So, but yeah, we just brought the gear out to be. I just brought the drums and stuff out there to kind of do a funny. We got a video that's coming on, I think on hopefully this week. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so
Wow.
that involves. That's why the drums were on the beach. Um,
Do you feel like? I mean, is it? I mean, you might not have enough perspective or time to comment on this, but I talk to my friends who've put out a lot of albums as a leader, and they're very talented cats, and and then they'll say to me, "But the next one is really going to be me, man. It's really going to be me," and I just wonder, like, on this, was this a project to sort of say, well, it's about time that Dan Horne becomes a leader on an album, or um, were these tracks indicative, and do you feel like they really get across the aesthetic of who you are as an artist?
yeah, I mean, it's kind of been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I always work with other people. It's kind of how I make my living, and I just work good. I'm a collaborator. That's kind of my thing, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I kind of try to fall in where other people need help and get the project um, into fruition. That's my job and my calling. So maybe I just decided to get myself into fruition and help myself out. And I figured out some ways to do it, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of been bubbling in my head for a long time to do something like this, and also just kind of let people know like that these are sometimes like I'll do all this work for other people and then no one realizes how much of it I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you did. Here's so and so's new record, and they get, I mean, deservingly all the credit. It's fine, but that's been a little bit of a what do you call it? I don't know. I've been getting frustrated with that over the last years, just seeing everybody else kind of get a lot, and I do a lot of work in the studio. So now this is for people to be like, oh, that's what Dan does in the studio.
Well, I mean,
You know?
yeah, I'm with. Listen, I mean, I would assume maybe the frustration comes from the fact that possibly the people you work for don't promote the work that you've done enough. Otherwise, I feel like, I mean, it's pretty evident that. I mean, do you really you don't like to draw a lot of attention to yourself, and as an artist, you guys don't like to promote your own stuff for better or for worse. So, um,
Yeah. I mean, I think.
I mean, like because you do so much production, like Pipe or like those cats, like, um, what would make you feel, I don't know what the right word, maybe less frustrated or feeling like, yeah, you were an important piece to this album, even if you weren't necessarily on it.
Well, not everybody is Jake Feinberg. You know.
I mean, listen, that's the point. Is that Darren
Yeah.
the minute Darren, I said let's do part two, and this is like months ago, and
Well,
Darren Rademacher's like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in the studio. He goes with Dan Horne. I'm like, dude, I mean, So, I mean, to me, you're a legendary cat that needs to be built up to the moon. And then there's also this idea of just like, oh well, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to self promote, like don't be
Yeah,
bashful.
that's hard. But I mean, what I mean is like most of the people that write about a record, I always make a joke like that. You read the blurb in the magazines or whatever, and it always says the name of like whoever's album it was, and
Right.
then they talk about like the two most famous people that played on it. It could be like, you know, Robert Plant walked by um, the store, went and bought a sandwich from the same store that they did that day, and then everybody writes about Robert Plant on their record. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally, totally. They're not
So
focusing on the unsung cats. Yeah.
it's just the way that everything, the press and everything is set up, which is totally fine. Usually the artists are like talk about and give credit, all over the place, and then the press gravitates towards the most famous name, which is totally cool. Um,
But it's really not. I
and
know, but it's really not. I mean, it misses the point. It always.
well, liner notes don't exist anymore.
Right.
Like
Right.
you go on Spotify, you can hardly even find the date that it came out. It's like nothing. Um,
And there's no description of like like in terms of like all the accompanists and how they enhance certain tunes. I mean that was really the reason I got into
yeah,
records to begin with. It was like, oh man, this cat's on the
you
record.
read the
Yeah, exactly. It's like and everything's just gotten and
yeah.
so it's like,
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
Wikipedia is cool, but that's even hard nowadays to get any information correct on. You know. But yeah, so it's like I don't know. Wikipedia is kind of my go-to, but yeah. So it's hard to kind of figure out who did what. Yeah. So um,
um,
I
this,
don't know.
this
This is kind of an attempt to be like make it a little more obvious, but then also it's kind of like a start. I did everything on this record kind of as like a challenge and kind of as a gimmick, to present it in that way, which I thought would be cool. And then we're gonna do some more songs where we get the crew in here,
That's what I wanted to ask you
coming
about.
up
So
pretty
you
soon.
said challenge and gimmick. Those two things seem to be, I'm going to say diametrically opposed, but if you're challenging, if it's challenging, then it means it's hard or you're pushing yourself, and then a gimmick strikes me as like what bands do when they can't play, and there's just all these gimmicks to distract. So, what do you mean by challenge and gimmick?
It's like a circus trick. Like, look, he can do the
Oh, it's
whole thing
magic.
by
It's
himself.
magic. It's magic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I dig. I mean,
yeah.
is there? I just wanted to ask you this because I regret. I mean, I still have. I'm not a rich man, but I regret not this monstrous last Circles tour in the winter with Lacrasto. You know, that was like right during the beginning of COVID. Like, and I remember you guys played like 10 straight days. And were you like aware that shit was going down? Or I know the country hadn't closed down yet, but I'm always interested in like knowing. For some people, if they take music for granted and they don't play the show as if it's the last show they'll ever play, they might have some regrets. And I'm just thinking worst case scenario if live music the way we know it is the last to return. I just wonder if you, knowing that we were headed into uncharted waters, um, did you sort of leave it all out there? Is that your mentality every time you play? Is that this could be the last
Yeah.
time, so I better play like it's life or death?
Well, I don't think about that, and I don't think that tour. We were reading about it in the news. I mean, I think everyone remembers how fast it kind of like,
Just hopped
you
up,
know,
yeah.
yeah, it was like, okay, we see that wave off in the distance, and then it creeped up, on everyone pretty fast. Like, so we were done. We were at home, like we were in New York, and everybody was like, "Well, the subway is crowded." Like you
Right.
never used to really notice how crowded it was, and then you're like, "Whoa, damn!" And then flying home, and I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I don't look at it as life or death, but I do look at it as I'm more of like I look at it as an obligation to the people that are there, that took their time to come out to your show and stand in the audience and pay attention. Like I couldn't not. Um, Sometimes I get in a bad mood, but for the most part, I can't like not fully go for it and commit. If there's anyone in the audience that's paying attention, that's kind of my
No, I mean,
my
dude,
drive.
I mean, it's just essential. I mean, this is essential part of humanity. It's just out of all the industries. I mean, so many industries continue on in some sort of half-hearted way, or Florida now
Yeah,
is just opening up 100%. I mean, it's insane. But the one industry uh, that, because you know better than anybody, the only way you really can, you know, in prior interviews with Dan, we talked about him coming on with an alias because he could talk frankly about the grind of just the racket and the day to day phone calls and the negotiations and the talking and yet the only way you can really make money in music today is by road dogging it, is by going on tour and using the merch tables and building your name that way. And that has just, out of every industry, I find it cruel. It's not just music, it's just performing arts in general. It's totally stopped.
yeah.
And
Well,
it's really, and I guess I'm just worried because God forbid, I mean, everything seems so chaotic. It is chaotic right now, but if things don't go a certain way politically, I don't know if, based on certain values of certain administrations, if independent music venues are going to get bailed out. The places that you guys like, the stops, you guys make a conscious effort to try to get to those flyover places in Idaho, Utah, Colorado, all the way to the East Coast, Midwest, and I just worry that um, that because of the lack of understanding of the significance and the soulfulness of creative music and art, that if certain people have decisions about the budget, I just don't know how some of these places are going to stay open. I worry about
right.
it. Like,
Well, they're not is the thing,
right,
but I mean,
right.
we're all going to have to adapt. I mean, I think a big problem is just the lack of, even from before. This has been the problem with music, in the music scene and industry, is just we have no organization, and I don't know if it's just the nature of the thing. I'm not, who knows why, but we have like zero um, organization when it comes to a like working community.
Yeah.
It's always us against them. And now that something really terrible happened, you can see like, okay, there's like nothing to.
Yeah, where's the I'm ready to lobby on like, I mean, it's great that you'll see Jackson Brown or other people go up to Capitol Hill, but they're musicians. Like,
Yeah,
who is going to stand up for the musicians?
yeah, we need some
I mean,
lawyers
that's
on our
me, but
side
I
and
mean, I
stuff.
mean, I mean, like, I'm serious. Like, it's like in the past, it was like it made sense. You worked for the union. You had jingle dates, commercials. You'd be in playing 12 string or pedal steel. Then you'd be going to another date, and yeah, you paid your union dues, but that was representation for the musicians to fight for different types of things. And then as the work and then obviously when the studios started to consolidate and shrink, and then sequencers and synthesizers and drum machines took away jobs, and then pretty soon people got dissuaded from joining the union, and people got hired people that weren't from the union because they'd come cheaper. So
Yeah,
it's like that has to be. I don't know. I to me, it's like terrifying. Um, the idea of, just as a patron and as a lover of the arts and of music in general, I just don't want to see, better than me, because I see your schedules on circles and stuff. You guys are playing a lot of these, clubs. They're I mean, they're the last vestiges of sort of like independence, so to speak. And I just don't know how they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna need to be bailed out, and
Yeah.
and
I mean, a lot's going to change. You know, the venue that you're used to going to might be gone, and you might be going to see shows in like a dirt parking lot. You know, but like I think part of the thing that makes like American music so great is that anarchy and like chaos. Like it's just it's like a one big competition or like one big, it's like there's so much like freedom and energy towards just creating chaos that is what makes the music good,
And that's what scares off very, people like classical music. They don't want anarchy. I mean, that's when I talked to the guys about Coltrane. His music disturbed people. It was disturbing for people. That's not a bad thing, but for people don't like to be, the anarchy you're talking about is about, in some ways, a revolution, resistance, change, a different way of looking at life. The status quo.
So I think that ties into the whole business in the reason why it got the rug pulled out from under us so easily is that we have this like it's just chaos. Music is chaos. It just like eats itself alive, and I don't know. There's just the same thing that makes American music so great is the same thing that's destroying it right now. Or it's not destroying it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. We're going to adapt. It's a little lull right now in live music, and hopefully, by this time next year, we'll be
right. I mean, it's hard to be away from Horne that long, really. I mean, the vibration, the healing is necessary.
We'll find new ways to make it work.
Well, I mean, put a penalty box up, man. But enclose this thing. Then I don't have to worry.
Well, there's a lot of things that's illogical about it. Like if you look at other businesses that are open.
Absolutely.
And their rules that's more sketchy than what it would be like to go to a concert when everyone wear masks or like who's to say what's sketchy and what's not now. So I think we'll figure something out pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean they're opening strip clubs in Florida. How are you supposed to practice social distancing with that? I mean,
there is no COVID in Florida, so that's
we have a game on this program called Name That Voice. You're not going to know who this is, but I just kind of felt like this was appropriate soundbite, and then we'll come back.
In rock and roll. But anyway, as time went on, Robbie Robertson started hanging around us as a roadie kind of, learning, and then we decided to use him. We brought him in, and then with Ricky Danko, he was an apprentice butcher in Simcoe, Ontario. And he had a good little band. And I went to look at it, and I thought it was great, and I thought he was great, but he was a guitar player. And I was getting ready to lose in 3 or 4 months, one of my good guitar bass players, Rebel Payne. And so I hired Ricky to come in and rehearse for 3 months, practice with us, and if he could play bass and wanted to, then he had the job because of his personality and looks and all that. And we got him. Richard Manuel I knew before because he had a little band called the Rockin' Rebels from Stratford, Ontario. And we helped them get around a little bit, booked them down in Arkansas in my club, a few other little clubs I know. And then they broke up. And then when the Stan Celeste, my piano player, had to go back to school with his wife and stuff, we hired him. And he came in, and he wasn't near the piano player, of course, that Stan Celeste was, but that's why I hired Garth Hudson to come in and teach. Garth, his reputation was the best there could be for musicians. He played the jazz and the classical and all that great stuff. And he was really known in that area for his talent. So we hired him as a teacher player, and within a year, Richard was playing real good.
Well, you want to take a guess at who that is?
I've heard some of that before, that, but I don't know. I can't remember.
So that, I mean, what I've realized about the Jake Feinberg show is that I just seems to hop over the iconic bands that we know to get to the roots of those bands or what the antecedents were. So that was Ronnie Hawkins, the Hawk, who was essentially picked, like he said, Robbie Robertson was just living. He was in gangs in Cabbagetown in Toronto, but he had good looks, and he was the roadie to start. And Rick Danko was an apprentice butcher. Richard Manuel didn't know how to play the piano very well, so Garth worked with him. And obviously, Levon was a super talented musician. But I just wanted to, to me, you're talking about the unsung hero, Dan Horne, prodigious amount of producing, plays instruments on albums, maybe makes the album with the instrumental cut, but not getting a lot of doesn't necessarily get the recognition because there's somebody else's name on the record. And so I look at Ronnie Hawkins as he was far from a great musician, and I don't listen and I don't love his albums and things like that, but I want to just ask you as a massive baseball fan and also a music fan yourself, like when you're talent scouting musicians, are you more interested in if somebody has what are the things that you're looking for in terms of talent? I mean, in some ways it has more to do with attitude and honesty in playing than it has to do with chops or anything else. And I just wonder what the Dan Horne scout, as a talent scout, what are the intangibles that you're looking for in other musicians?
Well, yeah, sometimes usually I like to think that I can kind of know right away if, there's somebody that I would want to play with. I mean, not right away, but
Well,
like
no. But just for the layperson, what kind of multi-sensory thing would let you know that? I mean, like, very quick.
Yeah, the personality
Mm-hmm.
is obviously number one, because for obvious reasons like that is music. Who they are is what they're gonna play. So you can kind of just know from there, like, oh, this person's cool. I'm sure their music's
Well, I mean, they
great,
can be cool. I mean, the personality. So, because you would say that personality then is reflected through their apparatus, whatever they're playing. I mean, or they could be a cool person and a total mess, and you're like, oh, we can work this person. We can round out the curves.
Yeah, like when Miles Davis said he just picks his band on how they dress. I mean, that's like it's like, okay.
I've never heard that one. That's class. I mean, that is. How much of it is though? Like when you get there and it's like, are you trying to sort of do a informal test on intuition and instinct? Like, to me, it's like it's got to be a feel thing, right? I mean, that's in the bands that you're in. It's all predicated on.
Yeah, and also it's like, well, I mean, I think I think, obviously Miles was using it as a metaphor, but it's like, you kind of like pick your people you play with depending on what, there's like, I'm not going to rule out anyone entirely. You kind of be like, oh, that person's good at that, and this guy's good at doing this feel, and he would be good for this project, So, yeah, you kind of notice people's strengths and try to like make matches and stuff like that. That's kind of how it works, I guess.
Do you just because this was a coming out party for Skiffle Horne, like your name on the album? I mean, in before times, you know, if you were still touring rigorously and things like that, would you have done an album as a leader with compadres, or did you, part of this was about you actually sort of being showing your dexterity?
Yeah. Like I said, this was the circus trick.
The circus. Okay, so that's what the circus trick. Okay, thank you. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, so like.
And then I want to make I've actually started it. Yeah, a record where we get, you know, all the as many of the players in town that I can fit on it. That's gonna be the next
big
project.
band. No, you're gonna have to have a lot of beekeeper suits for cats, and that. I mean, that's gonna be overloading the studio a lot.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I actually have a outdoor stage.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, the skeleton was on it. At least it was when I was there.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think that's the first thing we're gonna set up.
oh, that's great. That's
some
a great
stuff
dude.
outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might do, but yeah. So we're gonna record anyway. That'll. I don't want to like talk in the future something I haven't even done yet. But
Absolutely.
you know,
No,
that's my
a
idea.
great.
This record was something of like to prove to myself, and also not prove, but just a fun little project to do, where I played everything, and then yeah. So now all the gloves are off, and there's no more rules, and so we'll just see what happens on the next thing. But
I don't like the word. It's not
now,
it's not a gimmick.
this
It's
out.
not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick. This is your time in the sun. The motorcycle song. I gathered that Blasucci. I mean, this is sort of. I hate. You know, I snuck a little peek at one of these readouts, and apparently he hipped you to this Canned Heat album, but then you went to go find the magic sitar at Wilson's house. Can you take us through the evolution of this motorcycle song?
Oh well, the Poor Moon is
Oh, Poor Moon. Excuse me.
yeah, that's a song
That's right.
it's kind of one of those songs that bounces around as like a deeper cut. I don't think it made it onto a Canned Heat record, but it's on Spotify, and so everyone kind of knows it. And so I wanted to kind of do that. I've been trying to like get people to play it in sound check and stuff like that, and we never quite did it. So I was like, oh, that'll be funny. I'll just do it myself. I'll sing the backups and everything. Yeah, and then the idea of like, well, I can't just play like straight blues guitar over this. I'll get this sitar, and you know, I knew Wilson had like 7 or 8 of them, so I borrowed one of his.
He has
and then,
8 sitars. That's insane. Why did you just now explain? Because it did sound. I mean, it didn't sound like a classical Indian sitar, and you explained to me that the strings were. I mean, did you intentionally choose one?
Yeah, no, those things are common. They're what are they called? The choral.
Yes.
Like Dan Electro made them. There's a million of them. They're all kind of the same. They have this weird, like burnt paint finish on them. Like it looks like you dropped it in the fireplace. And then they have these resonant strings on them, like a harp, that don't do anything. And then it's a guitar straight up, but the bridge is where the magic happens. It's like the bridge kind of like makes the string vibrate in that like way. I think that's where it's similar to the sitar. The sitar works kind of in a similar way, where the bridge resonates and makes that twangy sound. So it's, you know, it sounds like a banjo, or it kind of sounds like a sitar, but yeah, it's a cool instrument. So that was like the inspiration. I think a lot of times we pick like, that's kind of a fun little challenge. Like, oh, you pick a little thing to get inspired by on your track. Like the Blackjack, I started with, I got this ride cymbal, that like a pasty ride cymbal, and just like so fun to like, I don't know, for some reason, you know, you get an instrument and it kind of brings the song to you.
Wow.
It's weird, but yeah. So each song is kind of like that. Like the Rhythm 55 started with I have this little Roland drum box, you know, so I started a little beat with that, and then just started playing pedal steel to it. So, and then wrote the song like that. So like, you know, everything. And then the motorcycle song, that's how I started. this thing. I just like play that song sometimes because it's fun to play, and my voice sounded good on it. So I was like, oh, I can sing this. I'll record this. And that was kind of like when we first started getting locked down. So that was just kind of a kind of fun therapeutic way to start off the record. It's kind of like an escape. Like, obviously, I don't ride a motorcycle. You know, I like.
I need a new bike. It says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't ride a motorcycle. I don't do any of that stuff. And so it's kind of like, a fantasy song, is what that song is. So,
in normal times, like, I just am trying to, you could be the perfect person to ask for this, but like, in terms of, like, in a normal time, maybe you would potentially, would you actually go on the and tour as a leader and sell this album, or I mean, it's a twofold question. I mean, in normal times, would you tour this with a band? And obviously, it's not normal times. So, in this day and age, how can you? Maybe you can just talk a little bit about how you can market it and where people can find it, because, I mean, that's like the downloading. We all know about the downloading. The 14,000 downloads, you get like 11 cents or something like that.
Yeah.
But how? Maybe you can talk about where people can at least find the music and get off on it.
Well, I mean, it's this whole thing with Spotify and the streaming services is really frustrating because you barely make $5,000 if you do 1 million downloads.
Yeah.
And for some people, 1 million is like a blink of an eye, and some people in particularly in like jam band scene and stuff like that, 1 million is a lot. It takes a year or two. So and $5,000 a year is not enough. I mean, obviously you put together a whole catalog of 50 songs up there that are all cracking, you start to make a career out of it, but that takes, it's forever. And jam, like, our songs are long, and you like long songs, right?
Big
so
time.
Like,
yeah.
This whole,
long.
And then all of a sudden this Bandcamp thing, which had been sleeping for years, no one really thought about Bandcamp, comes along and is like, wow, that's a really cool platform, and it works. And I think the cool thing about it is people, the fans and music lovers, want to contribute. It's not like they don't want to, they like, and so now they have a way to contribute. And there's a you can buy the record, or you can buy a shirt, you can even pay more if you want, which is cool. So it's a support thing. Obviously, you can get music for free. You can go on YouTube and anywhere. It's easy. So the just the whole way of making it easy and not collaborative, but a good way to, like, interactive.
Absolutely.
With the fans without having to go to a concert is really, really cool. So, and I gotta say, like, I appreciate all the support that Circles Around the Sun has gotten, and Grateful Shred, and through Bandcamp. So it means a lot, and I don't know.
Well, it's real, because it's really, really, I mean,
it goes literally. You get the money like right away. It's like Venmo,
Right.
It's awesome.
Right.
So,
right.
And then I can go and I can pay all the people that helped out on the record, like with the artwork, and there's 1 million people that help put a record out, and they all want to get paid too. So, like, the Bandcamp thing is just like, boom, it happens. It's really been cool. I don't know if it's the future for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what that's going to be, but for now it's been really cool. And I think, like, one thing that like we were saying is, like, the ticket prices. As soon as, like, Napster came along and everything, like, live ticket prices went way up, because people were like, oh, I don't have to buy records anymore. I can spend more money on concerts, So obviously everything's always changing.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to ask you about is, like, well, I mean, this is not really what I've been told by a lot of the older cats who are off the road now is that I don't want to single out any venues, but I mean, for the amount of money that's being taken in per night, um, there's just not an equal distribution of wealth that goes back to the musicians, and uh, that the clubs are taking, they're making a huge profit. And that's the advocacy part that really that really, I understand you need to, there's cost and there's upkeep, but people are getting very wealthy off this stuff. I mean, you can't tell me that 3 nights at a place that seats, or that you can pack 500 plus people in, 3 nights in a row, that I wonder at the end of the day, in order for music to be seen as a really viable profession, is if, ultimately we need some sort of absolute collapse of the structures around us, the economic structures, in order for it to truly have a rebirth. Because it's like, it's not, everybody consumes it every day, and most likely it's, the best part of anybody's day is listening to music, or in your case, playing it, or fiddling around with a bass drum cymbal, whatever it is. Everyone's doing it. Doesn't matter if you're a musician or a listener, and yet people pay for it, like you said. But then the distribution is not adequate. To me, it's like, you want to give Stevie Wonder or Steve Miller, those guys. I mean, okay, that's great. I mean, they're going to make millions, and then the scraps are left over for people that are actually trying to be creative. And I guess it's just the reason I'm not speaking about it as a Pollyannish thing. I'm speaking about it because at one time in our society, musicians were completely valued as professionals. A lot of that had to do with the advent of television, because you needed to have string sections and people to come in and do jingles, and so there was a demand for human music. And I know that a lot of our peers are, whatever they want to say, a lot of them, and rightfully so, miss the road. They miss the touring. They miss the escape from the domesticated not the boredom, but just the routine of domesticated life. Are you somebody that is, regardless of whether we have to adapt or not, are you somebody that has, how do you not hold on to something too tight, like where you can get too attached to something? Money's a perfect example. People come from lower middle class backgrounds, and they start making money, and then they get so uptight about it. They don't want it. They're so rich, but they can't share any of the money. In music, it's like you go on the road, you get addicted to the road. Obviously, the road can eat you alive, but you have magical experiences, all different types of experiences. You get to see the country, you get to play music on the bandstand to freaks like me, and then you get paid for it, and then now that's just been shut. And I just wonder if it's something where maybe you can talk to people about. Obviously, you get frustrated once in a while, but for those people that look at music as their crowning jewel, their only thing in life, the only thing they know how to do, and they're really angry that this has been taken away from them, what would be your wisdom to them?
I mean, it would be. I mean, obviously, I think what's going to happen is that we're going to adapt, and it's taking some time, and hopefully everyone can hang on financially to get to that point where we're like, okay, this is working. But I mean, obviously, ideally we would create some sort of union. That's what needs to happen, where everybody can join together and be like, look, you can't just take advantage of us anymore, because that's what's going on. Venues, like you said, I wouldn't lump all venues into the category of taking, like, a lot of venues are super generous, and like that's how we make our living.
Mm-hmm.
and we build up relationships, and we play at the venues that we like, and we don't have to play at the ones that suck, and we know the ones that suck. Trust me. They're like, oh, you're gonna play here?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Call the agent, cancel, play a different venue.
Mm.
Oh man, all the venues are booked that night. We gotta play at this place. Oh man, that's gonna suck. And not because the venue sucks or the people suck. It's usually
Sure, absolutely. Management. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we know. So I don't know. That's another way where it takes care of itself. But if somehow we could join together and create a guild, musicians guild.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
it just doesn't exist. And there is one in LA, but it's almost worse that there is one, because they're not looking out for the kind of music that we are, and it's antiquated, and the fact that it's even there is one of those things. You're like, oh well, there is a union. Like, there you go.
I mean, it's and it's also, I mean, it's continuing to pay people. I mean, first of all, the trust or the retirement is basically musicians' union is bankrupt, and all the money is going to people that grew up during the gravy years of a record industry when there was a lot of work to go around, and it's like and there's nobody to oversee, and there's not enough, like you said, it hasn't been adapted to fit the needs.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be adapted. That needs to stay. That's fine. Keep that union, and then have a new guild.
A guild
for touring.
Jeez. And
recording artists. That can be for the TV and the people playing, in the orchestras and all that stuff. That's fine. Keep that. This is a whole different profession. My money and everyone I know, we make money recording in the studio, making albums, and touring. So we need to band together, and also selling music on streaming platforms and records. So it's
right, and then having people
be able to be like, hey, this is
exactly
our property, and you guys are stealing it, and then boom, nobody can have it until terms are negotiated, and that's never going to happen unless we band together. But if we could somehow, who knows? I'm not Jimmy Hoffa or whatever, but maybe one of those guys can show up. Maybe we can put together enough money to hire someone like that to represent us, get everyone on board, and then be like, look, no more music until there's a contract signed,
Well, I think
and rules put in place.
Yeah.
I mean, that would fix it. But who's going to do that? I'm not. I can talk about it forever if you want. I've thought about it constantly, but I can't do it.
No, and it's not.
I gotta play. I just want to play my guitar, man.
Amen. No, I mean the responsibility is on cats outside of people that play or perform or record to advocate, because that's where the authenticity is going to come. I mean, it doesn't. I also feel like it's just, politically right now at this time, a lot of our parents' generation just refused to exit stage left. So if you can't have younger cats coming in to change or have a different perspective on things, then you're caught up in this, sort of geezer mentality where all of a sudden it's like, well, why do we need to advocate for music? That's just made for background noise, or that's just made for pacification, or it's like this idea that it's not. I mean, it makes us a more soulful people, and the idea that
obviously it's necessary. I think that it's for some reason easy. We are easily taken advantage of by nature. So yeah. But you said you want a way for people who are feeling frustrated about having it taken away from them. I mean, getting angry about it is probably a good thing, and maybe some good can come out of the anger and frustration. We can kind of get organized. I'm pretty doubtful that will happen, but I would love for that.
Well, the problem with creative artists in this new guild you're talking about, they very fiercely independent, so it's hard to get everybody into the same mindset.
And also we're I mean so busy, and we're just scratching like for life right now.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, I'm busy scratching just to get my bills paid. How am I going to have time to like start a movement, you know? But
believe me, dude.
Somebody's got to do it.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. You need some pretty badass. Well, I mean, it's important. I'd like to keep talking about it because I'd like to at least be a part of it and in some way advocate for it, because I think this is the next step in the adaptation that you're talking about. But I know you got to go, but I before.
Darren's late. He's supposed to be here at 12:30.
Well, he's late because he knows we're rocking out. But the thing is, let me just ask you. I see you sometimes on stage running in place, and people. You say that's because I get tired. Or Aaron Spursky revealed that in fact you do have narcolepsy. that you in fact. There was a time at a festival. There was a rehearsal in our.
Well, let's get
just get it straight. Yeah, let's get it straight.
I'm like, if you fly across country and then, or you fly to Europe and then you got to go straight to a rehearsal. Obviously, you're going to be tired.
Oh,
Give me a break.
So tired.
But yeah, I that was a joke. Sometimes I can fall asleep really easy, so yeah. Apparently I've fallen asleep and kept playing before.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Dan Horne, man, this world is insane right now, and I think the most important thing is treasure the small things in life and appreciate the blessings that you've been given, and I think this is a really great album, but try to just just keep moving forward, man, because I can honestly say like everybody is dealing in their own internal sort of madness at this time for a variety of reasons, and you're really a beacon of light for the future of new music. So, we'll just have to keep figuring out this algorithm together and hopefully straighten it out.
Cool, man. Well, we'll start a Kickstarter and then we'll get a lawyer on retainer. Maybe that's how we should start.
Something. I mean, I think it's important to talk this thing through.
What was the OJ lawyer? He's still around.
Dude, right? Johnny Cochran, man. If it does not fit, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit.
There you go. We got him. We got to get enough money for someone like that.
All right. Well, no. Let's just keep working it out, man. But honestly, where can people? Just for the record, where can people find the album on?
It'll be on Bandcamp on Friday.
And we're going to get a video of you on the drums by Topanga Beach. Is that possible, or are we going to see that video?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That'll come out, I think, on Friday too, but I'm not sure yet.
Thank you, brother, for healing me, and much love to everybody. And yeah, let me know if there's going to be any kind of stuff. We can build a box and put me inside the box, and I'll be there. All right.
Or you can borrow one of my beekeeper suits.
No, that'd be perfect. Just let me know.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, be cool, man. All right, Horne.
All right.
Later, dude.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Great to catch up with Dan Horne. His new album is coming out this Friday. This is for the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll see you later.